You are watching Conversations with Jennylyn, and tonight I have one of my guests that I love having on the show because I'm hoping what she's sharing with us, I'm not the only one learning from, but you're also learning and getting clarification because what she shares with us, these are not her opinions or views, but they're being downloaded from the spiritual beings that know what we don't know, who can see what we cannot see. And they have chosen her to bring these messages through because we've lived in the dark for far too long. And if you're like me and have a curious mind, so many things were not adding up, were not making sense. And over the last year, people like Heather have been somehow finding their way on my path. And so I know what she's sharing is truth, at least for me, because I've done my homework. So, Heather, welcome back.
Thank you so much. This is so fun. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Well, I'm happy to have you here with me because I have a gift similar to yours, but it's nowhere nearly as fine-tuned as you are. So half of the stuff that I receive, I debate it, like, who's that? I don't believe that, and I push it away. But as I speak with people such as you and others with your gifts, I'm realizing I need to pay attention to the information that I do get. But I must tell you that some of the information I got is that I had to get you on this show. So see, I am listening. So just to recap, Heather and I started a series, I would say approximately a month ago. And we had just a general introduction show where she talked about who she is and how she started or why she left her banking career to start to do this. And she explained when she started, why, and how. And we've completed one series, and tonight we are going to continue. And she calls it the collapse of the system. And if I'm wrong, correct me. And please, Heather, go for it.
Okay, awesome. So I call this the collapse of the four pillars. It's kind of my guides call this the collapse of the four pillars. So I channel a group of cosmic beings. After I left banking, I started channeling out of the blue, and they've been sharing a lot of things with me. But one of the things over the last few years they've been sharing, and they told me in the last year it's time to start sharing it with the public, is how our systems are set up and what's really going on with all the systems and why they're in place. And what they were saying when you were talking is they're basically here and using me as a conduit to pull back the curtain to reveal the man behind the curtain. So it's not so scary. So we have make some more sense of what's going on and can be more cognizant about the choices we make going forward, so that we can help all of this collapse, because all of this was created to control us. So in the second video of the series, I go into this, but I'll just really briefly touch on this. And then I have here covered up more information on two of the pillars. So what my guides share is there's four main pillars or systems that are collapsing around the globe. And they are political structures, man-meds. I'm going to say man-meds because this video got taken down from TikTok. I didn't even have 300 followers and they took it down. So probably because I said the wrong word. So man-meds, banking and finance, and my guides say the most corrupt one is education. This is all new to me, didn't know any of this stuff. So what they say is that these pillars were created by a handful of individuals that run the whole globe like a corporate structure. So the way that I have it listed here is at the very top, I call them the global CEOs. And I also call them the powers that were, because they're falling. We're here in a really beautiful time. We're seeing all this fall, and that's why everything feels really hard right now. And then they've got high level management, just like any corporation. They've got different levels of management here. And the low level management is the management structure that really keeps all of this in line and keeps this going. And the glue that keeps all of these pillars together is the media, religion, Hollywood, and law enforcement, law. And so today I'm covering one of the pillars and one of the glues that holds it together because it feels kind of connected. So I'm going to pull this up. And also for anybody watching, you can see a lot more of this content on my TikTok channel too. Okay.
By the way, can I interject for a minute? On TikTok, you can find her under the name Crystal Claire. So that's who you want to look for on TikTok. And I encourage you to go because she has channeled so much information that you will really benefit from. Just keep an open mind as you watch everything.
Thank you. It's Crystal Claire Channel, and Claire has an E, like the 5 Claire senses. It's Crystal Claire Channel. And just a caveat, I channel a lot of stuff around Hollywood. I'm not into Hollywood, but my guides tell me that Hollywood was created when religion started failing, which I'll get into in probably the next video. And they want me to expose Hollywood because there's so many people who follow Hollywood and are starstruck by it. And they wanted me to start pulling back the curtain on Hollywood to really show what that's about. So
you mean Holly Weird? Sorry, you said Hollywood.
I in my hashtags I put Hollywood and Holly Weird because it is weird. It's nothing that I thought. It's not even close to what I thought that it was. So all right, so the first one I'm going to cover is actually one of the glues that keeps us all together. So again, these 4 pillars were created to control us in order to keep us believing and focused on being, supporting these systems. Religion was created. So I like to preface, I'm not talking about God. I'm not talking about ascended masters, Buddha. I'm not talking about Jesus. I'm talking about the business of religion. Religion is newer. And I also want to always say, do your own research. Don't take my word for it. This is all channeled from cosmic guides that want to help us to wake up, specifically right now. But go do your own research and just know that if you use Google or Chrome or something that's mainstream, you're only going to see what they want you to see, and they support these systems. So you kind of have to go do your own research. I tell people there's a lot of content on Gaia, but there's a lot of books written out there that aren't promoted that are proof. There's pictures of scrolls that were found. There's proof about this stuff out here. But religion was created to control the masses. So if you think about it, this is what my guides were saying, is that think about the themes. If you think about the Bible, first of all, the Bible is, they tell me that the Bible is basically man-made, and men took stories from all different times in history. They dumped it in a pot. They took some chunks out, they added their own stuff, stirred it all around, and then cut it down to 25% and put out a book. And they call this our guide for living. It's metaphors, it's analogies. And when you read the Bible, literally or verbatim, you're missing all of what's really being shared in there. But it was created from a bunch of pieces of stuff to create a belief system. And religions around the globe, no matter what religion it is, it's all very similar. It's all the same. So there are some truths in there, but they've been manipulated. They've been changed. So when you think about the Bible, there are themes in the Bible, right versus wrong, right? So if you fall out of line, you're wrong, right? You got to get back in line. Think about this from control standpoint. Good versus evil. This is the funny one. There's so many men versus women themes in the Bible. How old school is that? First of all, that's clearly not from God. That's clearly not from an ascended master, women against men. And I know some of this stuff because I grew up in religion. So I remember being in church thinking, I grew up as a Christian, thinking like, something doesn't make any sense. There's a man that sits in the clouds and judges people, but he's also merciful. And he sends people to heaven or hell based on how they live their life. This is what's written in the Bible to keep you in line, to control you, so that you follow all of these 4 pillars. You go to school, you learn what they want you to learn, right? You participate in all the systems. And if you're labeled bad, you have to repent, you have to pay money, you have to say a bunch of rosaries, I guess, in Catholicism. These are all processes and structures, again, that keep us controlled. They also have a lot of blessed and righteous, a lot of, I see other people sharing a lot of things, a lot of truths around religion on social media, and they get a lot of attack and hate and people will say like, you know, that they're not righteous or they're not going to heaven or they're going to go to hell. That type of judgment and persecution is exactly what these people want us to do. Because if we're attacking each other through what religion tells us to do, you know, being submissive to one gender over another, etc. If we're attacking each other, we're not paying attention to what's happening up here. So they want us to be judging each other. They want us to be pointing the finger, when in fact we're all the same. We're all human. We're all here. You know, a soul living, having an experience in a human body. We just forget that we came here. I have a lot of that content on my channel. And so that the powers up here, they know all of this. They're very spiritual, not in a light way. But they know how to manipulate spiritual principles, and they know that we as souls have forgotten why we're here, which is why there's this book or religion to keep us in line, to tell us how we're supposed to live, right? And then I have down here tithing. So, you know, this is one of my favorite ones. Then I'm going to pause and see what thoughts you have. But it's like, you know, we're taught, and education was my favorite one to go into. This one is the one that blew my mind the most. But so I'll just touch high level. You know, we're taught that you get out of the system at 18 once you've learned what they want you to learn, and you get into the system. Most people, 99%, get in the system. You know, they're not entrepreneurs, they're not starting their own business because they're not taught that. You know, we're taught what to do to support the system, to support them up here. All the billionaires and trillionaires, right? With just a handful of them, their bloodlines that have been doing this for thousands of years. So we get into the system and start working in a corporation or a business to support someone else, right? And then when we get our paycheck, 20, 25, 30%, depending on which tax bracket you're in, gets taken out, right? And then you take that home and you pay for electricity, you pay for cable, and you pay for the things that you need in modern day society. You know, you pay insurance on your car, you pay medical insurance. And then you go to church and they say, well, we want 10% more, but we want 10% of your gross, I think is what they ask for. Either way, we want more money, right? And you're wrong if you don't tithe. You're not blessed or righteous if you don't tithe. You're not in God's favor if you don't tithe. You see, it's like we just give all of this money to the system, and then you're left with a little bit to, you know, maybe you get to play a little bit, maybe you get to go eat out, buy groceries, buy gas, so you can keep going to work and participate in the system. So the whole idea of religion, again, not God. There is a creator. There isn't all, you know, some people call it God, creator, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it. That is, you know, all knowing, created everything. We're here with an essence of that. We're here having an experience on behalf of the creator. But we're told in religion that no matter what religion, that there's some God outside of yourself that you have to worship, that you have to obey based on whatever that religion's book of rules says you must do, based on whatever that tribe, not tribe, society, based on what that society wants you to how they want you to behave. So if you go look back again, do your own research, but if you go look back over the last 4,000 years, depending on what regimes are in control, they dictate what comes out or goes into this book. It's been the Bible and books like it, religious books, have been changed many times over thousands of years to support the regime or the people in control at the time. It's not unchanged. And besides all that, like I said in the beginning, many stuff was taken out of real texts and scrolls that say who we really are. And then the last thing I just want to say here real quick is I see a lot of people, like I said, really upset and attacking people who are sharing specifically about, you know, about religion. And it can be really hard when it's, you know, cognitive dissonance is one way to explain it, but when you believe something your whole life, these systems we don't even realize that there's another way to live. We're told this from the time we come out of the womb. This is what you do. You go support these structures. We don't ask why until we start waking up. And so when I see the people who get the most angry typically are religious or are political, because when your belief that you've had for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years is challenged, it's very scary. It is very scary. And there is a resistance. There's a fear, flight, or fight that kicks in, because if you start to open up your mind and say, all right, just for, you know, shits and giggles, I'm going to I'm just gonna go check this out. I'm gonna do some research and check this out. I'm gonna keep my belief here. I'm just gonna check this out. Once you go check that out and you do your own research and you start to realize that the beliefs that you have been indoctrinated, they've been pushed to you for a reason, it's very scary, because then you start to wonder what other beliefs do you have that aren't real? And it starts to shatter your version of reality, which is very scary, because who's here to help you now? Where do you go now that you're waking up and realize that all this stuff isn't real, that it was created to control us? It's hard to find. It's getting easier, but your immediate surroundings, the people in your immediate surroundings, might not be awake to the truths that you're discovering, and it can be really hard. So I always tell people, be patient, be very loving with yourself, because once you start going down the rabbit hole, and it takes a lot of courage and wisdom to get to the point where you're open to looking at another way of thinking of things. Be patient and living with yourself, because your mind's going to be blown when you start to realize what's really happening. So I'm going to pause there and see if you have any thoughts or comments.
Yeah, so one of the things that was occurring to me while you were speaking, the one thing that was perplexing throughout my life is I was never able to read the Bible. I'm also raised Christian. I went to Catholic schools, and I had so many so many religious people telling me or guilting me, go read your Bible, go read your Bible. And there were several parts of the Bible that were so confusing. Like it's the one book I tried reading where I couldn't read from the beginning to the end and get the story, right? So, okay, I'm lost. So what's going on? And I could remember asking Bible teachers questions where almost inevitably the answer was, from every single one of them, that's why I'm using inevitably, they would tell me it's a mystery of the Bible. Like, what the heck is the mystery you're telling me about, right? Why would God give me some mysterious book and tell me to be obedient to what's written in it? That was number one. And this, from a very tender age, plagued me, because it didn't matter, because I have a very curious mind. And I have to get to the truth. And I will dig until I find it. So that was one. The other one is when I started, they tell me, okay, read it from the beginning to the end. And I go and I read Genesis, and Moses is being told to sacrifice his only son. And I'm going, how can I love this God? Nah, it just didn't add up. And so at that point, I just closed it and put it away. And I thought, not for me. But I would tell all these people who were telling me to read it, oh yeah, I read it. Oh yes, I read my Bible. But I wasn't, because there was something inside of me throughout my life that would just go, no, 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 no. When I was encountering anyone or anything that was not the truth. And I couldn't tell you why, but from very young, there are people I didn't like. There were things I didn't like. And now that everything is coming to light, I am understanding why they did not resonate with me and made me feel uncomfortable. And this is why I was led to people like you and at least 19 others that I have watched who are saying the same thing, although you don't know each other. But I agree with you. When you've had a belief structure your entire life, and you flipped, it was like you're a slave. You wake up every Sunday, you go to church, you try not to go to hell, you go to the priest and tell him your sins, all this stuff, to have it shattered, you will choose the outcome, or you will choose to believe the messenger is nuts. And I speak from experience on this, because earlier in my life, I was encountering the information you are sharing with my viewers and that's how I got away from it. I'm like, they are crazy. And so now when I get this reaction from friends, I have to remember that I used to be one of those people. And I believe that God will make people receptive to it when the time is right, or maybe not. But that's between them and him. I've been instructed to share you with the people who watch me, not just you, but you and the others that I have deemed credible because I've done my homework. And so let's continue, because I'm sure what I just shared, there are others with the same, who've had the same experiences, but it's easier for people to hang on to lies than to have to revamp their whole life and to face the truth. And so for those people, you know, kudos to you if you're content with the life you're living.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who is getting triggered by this information is probably not content with the life that they're living, and that's where the trigger is coming from. So I, again, do your own research. And a few things that was coming in, my guides wanting me to share as you were talking, is that first of all, anytime anything is telling you to look outside of yourself for answers, there's something wrong. We are very, very powerful beings. We have access. I've been gifted this beautiful gift of channeling cosmic beings. I connect to the consciousness grid of the planet. I connect with animals. I found missing animals by connecting with them. They've shown me where they're. I've been given this beautiful gift, but we all have access to these gifts. The more you turn out the third dimensional, what they're telling us to do and think and say, and you go inward, the answers are in here. And when you can connect to your higher self, God, source, and get answers, that's where the answers are. So any corporation, any entity, anything at all that tells you that you have to obey someone else's guidelines for life, is a trap. That's specifically trapping you. And that's what happens. That's why I'll go into this next video. The education system is the most corrupt, because the time we come out of the womb and we can go to the bathroom on our own and get away from our parents, they're brainwashing, indoctrinating us with the belief systems that we need to know. And then you go to church and you hear the other belief systems that you need to know. And it's all coming external. And they teach us to turn off. They literally separate us from our spirit. They separate us from our soul, which is all knowing. And they teach us to turn off any intuition and guidance. That's why you're punished in school. That's why, sports was created partly to create discipline, listen to someone else, follow direction. This is what we're taught all around the globe. So anytime you say something outside of yourself told you to do something, then that's the first question that you must ask yourself is, why do I believe that? And why am I being told to go outside of myself, right? And why is this person, this is the other thing that came in, why is the man, because it's usually men, sometimes it's women, but why is a person at the pulpit in front of the church, why have they been given the power to tell everyone what to do? And what my guides tell me is that many of them don't realize this either. They also believe this to be true because they go to school and they're told the same thing. So they get out of high school, they go into, I think it's seminary, but they go into school to learn how to become a preacher or a priest or whatever, and they're told the same stuff. So many of them also believe this. And again, it's a top-down structure where one person or a few people at the top are controlling the masses and telling them what to believe and see. That's your first indication that something is off. Okay, no matter what, no matter where it's coming from, political structures, anywhere, anything at all, right? So that's it. And then the third thing that was coming in is that there is no heaven or hell. Whatever you believe in, go check out near-death experience videos on YouTube. But whatever you believe in, when you pass, you might have an experience with that belief. If you believe in Jesus, you might see Jesus. If you believe in Buddha, you might see Buddha as a transition. But there is no hell. There's only love outside of this. And that was shared with me when the two light beings angels visited me 4 years ago, and I started channeling. All there is love. There is no heaven or hell. There is no judgment system after this, okay? What there is karma. And I didn't understand what that was until I started channeling. What my guide says, karma is, all that means is balance. And our souls are responsible for our own karma. So if you are hurting someone, right? If you're causing pain or harm, you're going to receive that back to balance. And if you have a lifetime of causing pain and harm, and I've seen this, and there's many books written about this, of people who were under hypnosis and recalled, planning their lives. Near-death experiences also will share this. But when you pass and you leave this body, your soul, if it's caused harm in this lifetime, will choose to experience in another lifetime the flip side of causing that harm, if it hasn't balanced it out in this lifetime. So we know, and we can see looking around the globe, first of all, don't believe what you see in the media, but we know there's a lot of harm. You can see it, you know, there's people who hurt animals, who hurt people, who hurt children, right? They are going to experience karma. So it's not heaven or hell, it's your own soul is going to experience the flip side of whatever you've experienced. So they wanted me to share that. Now, if that triggers anyone, again, go do your own research and determine for yourself what you want to be your truth. But watch when you get triggered and ask yourself, why are you triggered? Is it threatening a belief system that you have? What's the true threat here, right? What's the true threat? And be patient and loving and take it in bite-sized pieces.
Heather,
yeah,
I'm getting something too on this topic before you move on from my guides. And what I'm being told is to throw this out there. Why would a loving God allow these people who are in charge of these churches, like the priest or the pastor, to live the grand life with 2 and 3 and 4 airplanes, and you can hardly feed your family, and he is sending you to give them your money, the little you have left, every Sunday? Why are some people allowed to live like they do and other people continue to struggle when we all work? That's what I was just asked to share. And I'm throwing it in there.
So this is a whole video topic. So let me just touch high level and I'll share what I know from what I've channeled. Okay. But every time these topics come up, I make a note and I'm like, I want to channel more on this because I don't get my information. I get my information from channeling, but my guides will bring me like proof points either before or after I channel something that helps me see the context for this. So in answer to your question, high level, because this is a whole, like I said, a whole nother video. And you know, I know you want to get Sean on here and he'd be really good to talk about this too, because he's done a lot of his own research. This is all coming from me channeled, right? So that is a really good question.
Which is what is great about having you and Sean. You channel the information. Sean goes to the countries and he does the research. So here's a promise, guys. I will be bringing Heather back when we complete the series with a gentleman who's already been on my show called Sean. And Sean is the researcher. He spends the money and the time and he goes, so anything he's sharing with you is a fact. Because he's got the evidence and you can go find him on his channel and get those details when you're ready. Sorry, Heather.
Oh, he's great. And we've connected, you know, before, and it says that's what I think too is really cool. I can't wait to see where this goes because he does the research, he reads all the proof, he sees the proof points, you know, scientifically, anthropology proven, right? And I'm channeling it, and together it's like, how can you can't.
And you know what's so awesome about this? I was told by my guides that you are the two I need to bring on the show. Can't argue with this.
It's so cool. So, because I have one more, you know, I got it. This will be the political structures one will be quick, but so my guides want to step in here and answer that question. And what they're saying is that's a really good question. Why would an all-loving God allow someone at the top of the pulpit to be a millionaire, billionaire, and have a private jets, and you're there giving your money to them, right? Well, so they're saying pause on that and everybody reflect on that question. Everyone reflect on that question because it's not from a loving God. A loving God is not doing that. And a loving God, first of all, God, creator, source is all love, but God does not dictate how you live your life. Okay. First of all, caveat, again, this is a whole nother series, but your soul chose to be here. Your soul chose to have this experience in this body as the avatar that you are, right? I chose to be Heather. Your soul's been other roles and other lifetimes to learn different lessons, but we all have free will. So the question would be, why are you going to church and giving more money to help this person pay for the private jet? No one's telling you to do this except for the church and the people who believe it. There is no God, creator, source, Buddha, anybody. There is no outside entity forcing you to do this. This is your free choice, free will. So if you're upset about somebody at the top, allowing trauma to continue in churches, right? Abuse, people coming to church barely able to pay for their own groceries and gas and giving 10% of their income for someone who's living in, that's who's making you do that. Nobody's making you do that. But we're told that we're supposed to do it. And then we get upset if anyone challenges that belief system when in fact we're making the choice. It's our free will. So choose
And a
if you
lot
want
of it is also manipulation because these people get up on the pulpit and they speak to people who trust them and relate manipulated scripts and stories to guilt trip their followers into giving them more and more money. And I used to be one of them. I've sent a lot of money to these people and I'm very angry about it now, but hey, hindsight. Anyway, one of the things I have noticed as being someone who was one of these people is one Sunday, a certain pastor was saying that God gave him a vision that he needed a bigger, larger airplane or jet. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. And that he was telling the congregation that they had an obligation to help him to get this jet within a certain period of time. And I think that's when bells and whistles started going off in my head, like, what God are we talking about here? Well, what's up with you, God? What are you trying to do? And that's when I started going down this rabbit hole that's led me to the truth. But I mean, seriously, people, if you're watching this, I'm sure everybody watching this has had experience with this in some
Oh yeah.
or other.
Well, that's the thing. Oh, they're bringing up right now. The other thing is there's a lot of guilt and shame bestowed, right? And so how do you control people with guilt, shame, fear, and division, right? That's how you control people. So if you can do any of those things within the church, then you've got people controlled. Oh, you mean I just need to give you more money and then I'll be saved, I'll be forgiven? And again, no one's coming to save us. There is no one coming to save us. Those teachings in the Bible are completely manipulated and fabricated and turned around. And what they're saying is many people, oh, this is interesting. Okay, so they're saying this is like Hollywood. Anybody who rises to fame and fortune, so the big people and the big ones, we're not maybe not the community churches, right? Because they believe this stuff too, a lot of them, you know. And so they're preaching what they believe. Number one, we're told don't ask questions, right? They're told don't ask questions, but why are the people on the pulpit the ones that can decipher the Bible's weird cryptic stuff and we can't, right? So because they're told what it says too. But they said anyone who rises to fame and fortune, the big ones, they're allowed to do that because they're part of the system, just like Hollywood. Anyone that raises to fame and fortune in Hollywood has signed contracts to do things in exchange. So these people who are asking, they're saying, for example, for more money for jets, etc., they're allowed to continue doing that. If we actually lived in society where our political people and our systems were here to support our benefit, do you think that would continue? That would not continue if the people above us who are in control of the laws and all that stuff, that would not continue if they were here to help us in our best interests. It's all part of the game. Those people are playing the game that these people, they know that they're telling them to do this and they're allowed to do it because they are these rich people on the pulpit are playing the game and they're allowed to continue playing it, right? Once you stop playing the game, then something happens to you. But that's for another day. I feel like I should get to the political structures here before we get too deep.
Oh yeah, so yeah, we have to watch at the time.
All right. So this is one of the pillars. So political structures is one of the pillars that holds us together, okay? And religion was one of the glues that makes you believe you have to participate in political structures. So this is what they showed me, and this blew my mind. Political structures are below low-level management, okay? So they're low-level management, below level management, meaning anyone who is in a seat that has any control, we're talking people over states, countries, okay, big territories like that, they were allowed to be there, and everything they're sharing might kind of be their own words. We know they have script writers and all that. That's common knowledge. It might be scripted in a way that sounds like them, but they are told what to say. They're told what to do. So there's actually studies that have shown, I can't remember, I'm going to butcher the number, so do your own research, but that have shown that no matter what side you're on, red or blue, the promises people make in their pre-election campaigns they all come true no matter what side you're on, the same amount of time, like 30% of the time or whatever, because they're told what to do. We're given the illusion of choice. So if you think about in the United States, you have a red side and a blue side. I'm not political at all, so I know it's Republican and Democrat, but I don't know the difference. It doesn't matter. Now I know. This is why I'm never drawn to it, because it's not real. So we're given a handful of people to choose from. There's always a front runner on each side. I didn't before this. We don't question. We're being told these are the people we're allowed to vote for. Why can't we vote our own people in, right? Why are we're given the illusion of choice, but we don't have a choice. And what they say is that anyone who gets into the seat of power was allowed to be there because they will play the game. Once in a while, they say once in a while somebody will slip through the cracks. Once in a while, that doesn't play the game, but for the most part. But then they get rid of them, right? They create a smear campaign. They might die. They get rid of them quickly. So we don't have a choice on who actually gets it. We're going to talk about the top of the country, okay? But this is like this all the way down. So the top of the country, I don't know if I can say it, but the people who run the country were given those seats because they're allowed to play for the game. They're allowed to play the game. They said some of this stuff is public, but you have to go do research to really dig to find it. And a lot of it's manipulated, or they remove information because they don't want us to know. But these positions of power, say governors, whatever, even presidents, all of them, they get a salary, but they make a salary, say governor makes 120, 150,000, I don't know, but they're living in $1 million mansions for driving private jets. Where does that money come from? They said that it's bribes and paydays. So if you're playing the game, what you do is you get a script, or you get told what you're going to do and the decisions you're going to make, and then you get a payday, or you're bribed, or you're threatened. And if you don't play the game, you're gone, right? So it's completely orchestrated. They said that once in a while, somebody gets into a position of power that really wants to make change. They really want to do what's good for people. And I channeled them a few months ago. One of the people that's running for presidency, I don't know his name, but somebody asked me to channel him. And I saw he really, really wants to do good. And he's kind of cocky. And they showed me that if he, for instance, if he made it into, the power seat, he was in for a rude awakening because he literally has no power and no say. It's just a face of an agenda that is hundreds of years long. They said, what we're living in today is a plan, part of a plan, a piece of the puzzle, a piece of the train track of something that was planned hundreds of years ago. It's just that whoever's in the seat of power takes the baton from the last person and runs with it. They might sound a little different. They might have different, belief systems or things they support to make them unique or whatever, but they have literally no power. They said, they pull our attention away again from sovereignty. So we're looking to the people at the top of the church to tell us what to do. We're looking to our political figures to tell us how to live. And that's coming from the time we come out of the womb. We're told to look outside of ourselves. So see how all of this is connected. Look outside of yourself for direction. Don't look inward. If you don't believe something that someone else believes, attack them. The media is full of that, because if we can attack each other, we're not paying attention to what's really going on up here. And they're just living their lives, taking money, taking our energy, taking our power, taking people out that speak too much up about it. They said that the long game players, the people who have created, the people at the very top, the global CEOs, the powers that were that are running the globe, handful, like 0.00001% per population, a very, very low number. They already have a plan for the next 50, 100, 150 years. It's going to happen in their mind, right? The only way it's not going to happen is the more of us wake up and become conscious to what's going on and withdraw from the systems. That's the only thing that will keep them from doing it, from moving on. But it doesn't matter who's in the political chair, because they're just following the direction. It's a playbook, right? That says, this is what you're going to say. This is what you're going to do. This is how we're going to corral the people. And then they say that the people in charge are political pawns. They're just players in the seat, right? Most people in political places, seats of power, have been in politics for a long time. They know how to play the game. They know how to speak. The last president we had did not, which is why he wasn't polished. And there was a lot of, he upset there's a lot of upsetting, things that he did and said because he wasn't polished, because he didn't come from that. But most people are in politics and know how to play the game, and they're only allowed in the seat once they say they'll play the game. And they're saying, okay, oh, that's for another video. All right. So they're handpicked, and then we looked and we're told, here's your choices. You have here's your choices. But we all know that, even if there's 10 people running for president, we all know there's going to be a front runner on the red side and the blue side, right? It's going to be one of them. That's usually how it goes, right? And it's going to happen no matter what. And then those, no matter what side they're on, they're going to be given the script on what to do, what changes to make, what laws to change. But if you've noticed, a lot of laws don't really get changed. There's talk about it because there's a long game in mind here. It's not what we're told. It's not like, oh, if we get the red person or the blue person in charge, that it's gonna, they support my belief systems. We're going to see change being made. Big change is not really made. There's just a bunch of chaos that ensues for 4 or 8 years, and then someone new comes in because it's all scripted. This doesn't matter at all. It's all an illusion created to distract us from we're good little soldiers. We're pawns in this game to support the very few people that are up here and what they want for really overall domination is really what's going on. And it's been going on for thousands of years. But lastly, before I pause and let you share your thoughts, is that, again, they want me to say, they're saying it right now, they want me to say that we're in a beautiful, unprecedented time right now. There's truth seekers like yourself, like me too, that are following the nudges of their soul, their higher self, right? To start sharing truth, get truth out. Because you might resonate with one person, and then someone else might resonate with someone else, right? And so we're all being called to share this truth in one way or the other, because the more people that wake up and at least start doing their own research or start considering the idea that maybe what they believe isn't real, or maybe it's not the truth, or maybe there's another way to look at things, the more people that start questioning that, the awakening starts. They start going through an awakening. And once more people wake up and go through an awakening, this all starts to collapse, which is happening now. It's already collapsing, but it can collapse faster. And they have nothing to build on anymore. There's nowhere to funnel our money or our attention or our energy. If these systems collapse, they have nothing. There's nowhere for them to take from us. But so there's a last ditch effort, right? They said right now, and I did videos on this recently on my TikTok. There's a last ditch effort right now for control by projecting massive fear and mayhem across the media, right? I'm sure they're saying, I haven't been in church in forever, but in church too, right? Oh, pray, it's time to pray, it's time to pray. Lots of fear, lots of horrible things that are being projected across the globe because they want us to be in fear. Because when we're in fear, we're literally disconnected from our higher self and our soul, and they know that, and they can control us. So they say disconnect from fear. This might spark some fear, right? Learning this or hearing this might spark some fear. They say be patient, seek truth, but be patient and love yourself, and ask with intention through a prayer or asking your higher self to bring you in bite-sized pieces and how much you can handle truth, so you can start waking up, because every single person on this planet plays a huge role in waking up so this can collapse. Once this collapses, the new systems are already starting to be built, and we can move to the new systems. These systems will not be fixed. These can't be fixed. New systems are going to be created that support community and bartering and trading and supporting each other versus all of this supporting the system. All right, I hope that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And it's funny because I wrote an article some time ago. I think I sent it to you, maybe not, where I was saying the Republican and the Democrat, they're wings of the same bird, and they're powerless to honor any promises they make you. Because once they take that seat, they no longer have control. There's already an established agenda. And that I got that download from my guides. And I typed it up and sent it to my friends. I said, so stop hating each other. I also said about 10 years ago, when there was a lot of fighting going on, it was during the Donald Trump election. And my friends are going at each other. And I wrote, will you guys stop? does Donald Trump or Biden or Obama, do they know you? Have they ever spoken to you? Have you had coffee with them? Why are you guys doing this? I couldn't understand it. And I didn't know why I knew what I knew, but I did. And I said, at the end of the day, you're killing each other, hating each other for two people that probably will meet and have coffee when they're done with the White House. And boy, was I right. And so I'm really grateful for the heavenly or the divine insights that I've had over the years, because although I kind of shared them with a few select people, I listened. And so I really wasn't fooled. And I feel at this point, I don't even want to vote knowing what I know now. It's been what I suspected has been confirmed. So I think the only way that we will actually see change is by the collapse of the systems.
That's it. That's the only way, because it doesn't matter. The political structure, the way it is collapsing. We just haven't seen it yet. Like, they're not showing it, but my guides have shown me, and I just, like I said, I just had a couple videos on this last week on my TikTok channel. My guides have shown me that the people, there's pure chaos up here. They're freaking out because they can manipulate and control us as much as they want with this. But when you start waking up and your consciousness raises, it literally has an energetic impact on these systems, and they start to collapse, and they can't control it, which is why there's more fear. There's more, I've noticed there's more movies coming out about the end of the world and entities on the planet, lots of scary movies. Because they tell me that when religion started failing, Hollywood's going to be another video, but when religion started failing, when people started, they couldn't hide anymore what was going on in the church higher up, like with abuse and stuff like that. When people started questioning stuff, they created Hollywood, which is, we know it's Hollywood, it's fabricated, but it's all contracted. They're all contracted to do certain things and sell certain things to support the system. So what they're doing is, as people are waking up and withdrawing from some of this stuff and maybe not going, they're starting to question religion and going into themselves and becoming more spiritual versus religious. They are putting more fear out there in the media and in Hollywood, because people are watching Hollywood. They might have left church, but they're still watching Hollywood. Stop if you can, or be discerning. Don't let it suck you in. And if we are envisioning end of world stuff, if we're envisioning apocalypses, and if we're envisioning the stuff they're putting out there, we'll create that. We're going to create that. So we can't get into a fear mode. We have to be careful where you're spending your time and energy. And I remember hearing about that a long time ago, but now I understand what my guides are saying is everything is energy. We are all energy. Everything's made from energy. Go do your own research. There's lots of beautiful scientific proof about this that can't be disputed, that is impossible to dispute. Quantum physics, we're all energy. Where we place where we what we're envisioning, right, in our mind, or we're watching, what we watch, we envision, right? So we envision the belief systems that creates, or the fear that creates, and then the actions that we take from that literally creates the reality we're in. These people up here can't create the reality. We're creating the reality based on what they're showing us that they want, right? All of these pillars. So that's why there's these systems. That's why you have to go to school. That's why go to church. That's why watch Hollywood, right? That's why the news is on all day long, all the channels. It's all chaos and mayhem. I saw a little snippet once, just where somebody put together like 25, 35, maybe more, in one video, snippets of 25, 35, maybe even 50 newscasters reciting literally word for word the same thing about something. They're literally giving a script, and there's proof on TV. So if they project this stuff to us, and then we go around scared about the end of the world, scared about the financial collapse, scared about not enough food, we literally are going to create the very thing we're scared of. So realize that we have control and we have the power, and that's why they're freaking out up here, because they know that we do, because we're the creators. We create for them what they want if we allow ourselves to be sucked into and believe all this stuff. So it's pretty wild.
It's very wild, but it's something that we have to get people to wake up to. Because the faster mankind wakes up, the quicker that system will collapse, and people will start living better lives with less struggles. I did have another person on my show who channeled Jesus. And I remember asking him, Jesus, why why is this genocide allowed to go on? Why are all these wars, these Christian or spiritual wars happening around the globe? Why are they allowed to? And he said that he told me that they were talking to the governments. I don't know what that meant. And that if they weren't willing to cooperate, we are going to start seeing manifestations that we weren't used to seeing before, like aliens, and that we shouldn't be scared. Weirdly, 2 days ago, they said they saw the alien in the Miami mall. I don't know what that is, but all I can tell you is I believe, and my guides are telling me, that we are going to be seeing more physical manifestations of those things that we are told are here to hurt us.
Mhm.
And it's a control way to keep us continuing in fear so we don't do anything about the changes that we need to make. That's what I was told.
Yeah. So, oh, sorry.
No, I don't know how, if I interpreted it correctly.
Yeah. So first of all, what they showed me is the man that we call Jesus that wasn't his name, but he came here to teach people love versus fear. And what they're saying right now is, and I don't know a lot about this, but so I'm just going to share what they're sharing. So I haven't seen this, or I don't know enough to be able to say, yeah, I've read about this. But what they're saying is that he came during a time that there was massive slavery around the globe, like lots of fear, lots of mayhem, lots of chaos. And they're saying even more than now. And so there was just no technology, there's no media, there was no news, right? But he came down during a very, very hard time in human history, specifically to wake people up, like people are doing now, to teach people about love, because there was so much fear and there was so much control that most people did not realize they were souls in a human body that are very powerful creators that live on forever. And this is an experience. We've been hijacked, and they were back then. They were hijacked to support these systems, but they looked different at the time because they mold based on evolution of humanity. He came to teach love and teach people to connect inward. That's why there's actually references in the Bible. They've wiped most references of reincarnation out, but it used to be, and there's lots of ancient scrolls that were found and hidden from us to talk about reincarnation. He came to teach that. He also, and there's still references in the Bible, a couple on that, and he also came to teach that Christ is within us, that that we are gods. We are connected to source. We're connected to God. And he was trying to help people connect to the truth of who we really are so we could break the systems. This has been going on a really, really long time. So we can disconnect from the systems. Because if we don't believe in them anymore and we remove from them and we stand up and we say we no longer consent, this falls faster. So they just manipulate who he was and what he was here to do in the Bible in order to hijack our belief systems and think that we have to, pray to someone outside of ourselves, tithe and all those things. But that's not what he actually was doing here. Again, it's all manipulated and changed to create the belief systems that they want us to have. So, and as far as the wings of the same bird, that's a really interesting way to put it. And they're reminding me, before I started channeling this stuff, I met someone randomly. I meet people a lot because I'm gregarious. And I started talking to this guy at a restaurant when I took my computer into work. And this guy was sitting next to me in the bar. And we started talking. He was traveling for work. He worked for the government. And he was kind of high up in the government for like 10 years or so. He used to be a farmer in Florida, so he was very grounded. And he was sharing with me that he's been to presidential debates before where they're out there like red in the face, spitting at each other, angry, and they go in the back and they high five, hug, and they go to dinner and have drinks. It's literally all scripted.
Yeah,
it's literally. I'm channeling it now, but he was like, he's like, it doesn't even matter. He was like, it doesn't even matter who you vote for because it's all the same and they're all scripted. And they go out there and pretend like they don't like each other, but they're actually buddies, and they're just it's all an act, right? And
so sad.
It's the thing is the more you start to wake up to this, if you open up yourself and say, all right, this is scary, but I'm ready to see truth, bring it to me. It's almost comical. it's not comical for someone like me because I'm an advocate, you know, my story with the bank. It's not comical for me. I try to stay in a hope, love, and comical vibe, you know, to keep my vibration up. But it's not comical to me. But it is kind of comical when you see how obvious it is. When you're like, oh my gosh, and you ask yourself, why do I believe what I believe? Where did that come from? Did it come from someone else at church? Did it come from someone on TV? Did it come from my parents? Then where did that come from? Nobody's saying, well, what do I, if I could choose any belief I wanted, what makes me happy? And
But
that's
how
what,
could you, when you're born and from the minute you are aware that you're alive, you are being taught to believe your parents, number one, the church, number two, the school, number three, the political leaders, number four. How? You're never allowed to think for you. And that's what I struggled with growing up, because none of the things I was being taught or told were adding up with the experiences I was having in life. Didn't mean to stop you, but that just came through. It's like we are not taught to use our minds and to discover for ourselves. We are programmed. We are like a computer.
we're wrong, we're evil, we're not
Right.
righteous, right?
Yeah.
If we question anything, well, first of all, if anybody that has any influence at all, political, Hollywood, you know, they're saying again, there's a lot of people waking up in these systems, and they're becoming whistleblowers, and even if they keep it out of the media, social media is putting it out there. They might keep slamming them down, but it's reaching the masses. But if we question anything, so then we're wrong. We're gonna go to hell. You know, we're going to repent or whatever. But and that's the trick, right? Is that we aren't even taught that we have a choice. From the time that we come out of the womb, starting with our parents and then school, we're told what you will believe. And if you go against the grain, you get sent to the principal's office, you get expelled, you get shamed, you get shunned. And anyone who's famous, who tries to, or has any influence, like I said, who tries to go against the grain, they have a smear campaign put on them in the media. That's what you see in the magazines. They might disappear.
Cancel them.
They get canceled, right? So they're like, if anybody's getting canceled, if anybody's getting smeared, pretty much they said, if the media says something is up, then it's down. If they say it's right, then it's left. Because it's literally scripted to brainwash people who are totally asleep, robots walking around like we all have been, and most of us have been in our life, to keep us in the system. Because if you keep people asleep and then they have children, then they now keep their children asleep, and then they keep their children asleep, and they keep their children asleep through these systems. They're like the people who are off the grid, who are, I did a video on autism and Asperger's a month or two ago, and they showed me that these children are coming and choosing to have autism and Asperger's, these souls, because it literally keeps them from being influenced, and they're rejecting school. And so the school says medicate the kids so that they're more pliable, so they'll sit in school and pay attention to what they're told. They're like, go, you know, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not giving advice, but my guide said, really consider before you put your kids on a medication. I have clients who have kids who have Asperger's or autism, and they're unschooling them, they said, and their behavior's totally changed because they are they're coming in on purpose to shift the paradigm. These souls are coming in, they called them the Calvary, they literally have something within them. I don't know if it's DNA or what, but they have something in them that keeps them from believing the madness, which is why we're seeing them rebel in school and not really do well. So we medicate them, right? But they're rebelling against it so that they're not brainwashed and indoctrinated, and they're here to help create the new system and help wake people up too. So I thought that was super cool. There's a lot of things that are happening right now that, again, if you're asleep and you're in these systems, you know, you want to medicate things that are different, or you want to stop talking to people that have different beliefs than you. But these are all this stuff is happening on purpose to make us start questioning why we believe what we believe so we can wake up. The question is, why do you believe what you believe? And there's a saying that says a wise man has many counselors. Before you continue drinking the Kool-Aid of that one belief that you believe for 20, 30, 40 years, go do research and then decide what you want to believe, right? So there's someone else telling you.
Exactly. And here's the other thing to be aware of. If you see people being canceled on whichever platform, and you're hearing one of the labels like misinformation, propaganda, or gaslighting attached to that person, that's who you want to watch. And they're getting shut down on TikTok or go to Rumble. There's a new platform now called Telegraph. Go and find these people. They're being canceled because they're telling the truth. And people are disappearing. So you have to wonder why. If we're living in a country that one of our democratic rights is freedom of speech, why are we being so heavily censored for having an opinion? Isn't that what freedom of speech means? Apparently, there's a new definition, but I'm failing to find the script with the rules. So
Well,
until I do, for me, I am going to speak freely.
let me just say this because, and they're bringing this in, because I asked this question the other day, or maybe they brought it to me. I don't know why it came up. Freedom of speech. So I don't know if they're saying this out there, but I think it's probably happening. What they're saying, or what this narrative that they're trying to spin is, yeah, you can talk to your friend about whatever you want, but if you're going to be using a public system or a system that's owned privately, we get to determine it if you speak, what you get to speak on, right? So to them, so this is for anybody who's like a devil's advocate on this topic. So they say, well, we don't want you to talk about this on our channel, right? And that's okay because I own it privately. You can talk to your friend about it. But what my guys are saying for those devil advocate people is that, but still consider what's happening, and it falls in line with all of this stuff, that anyone who has a mass channel, most of them are owned, it goes all the way up here, right? Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of the things are owned. So if people start getting canceled, you have to say, again, how does this fall in line with we're told what to believe? We're not, these people up here, but they're, once you wake up, you see that they're not even giving us humans credit for being able to discern what we want to believe. That's, if you think of it that way, they're not even allowing us to use our own discernment. They're literally stuffing down our throat the narrative they want us to believe. And if anybody else pops up on another side of that narrative or even questions it, they get canceled, or they disappear, or they're found gone, right? And you have to ask yourself, why has this been happening more and more and more? And what they say is because technology is now reaching around the globe and it's becoming a greater threat. And they're saying there's a good chance, they are considering turning off technology. Like, they're considering, and they already have banned reaches from one country to another, just so you know. Like, you don't see what's happening in Australia on purpose. You don't see what's happening in Canada on purpose. They're already banning that. But there is, they really are trying to find a way to keep us from seeing stuff, but they can't get around that. So
No.
it's all to control us.
Yeah. Can you believe it's been an hour? Well, actually more than an hour, but I think this information is so pertinent in terms of what is happening in the world now. Almost everyone that I follow on social media, once they get up to 1 million or more followers, they're getting banned. They're getting canceled. And I am just and nobody knows who the hell Jennylyn is on social media, and I too am getting banned. So suddenly I feel important. But anyway, that's not why I do this. I do this because I am a humanitarian, and throughout my life, I knew I was being lied to. I didn't know how. But to me, things need to connect. The dots need to connect, and they need to make sense. And I couldn't understand why we lived in a world where there was this hierarchy, where people seem to live a different life in the same world. A world where the rules didn't apply, where people got to do what they want, to kill who they want, to rip who they want off, and to live the high life at the expense of the people who work so hard on the bottom. That system was incomprehensible to me. And it was the motivation for the homework that I've done that's led me to these talented people like Heather and Sean and Carlos and all the others who are bringing messages from the heavenly realms to us to wake us up. And I thank you, Heather, for taking time out to do this with me again. Let's hope that people are starting to at least question what we're sharing and to have an open mind as they receive this information. And we'll be back soon with another segment. And I thank you so much for watching my humble show, a show where I am always trying to bring people to make a difference in your life for the better. And I thank you so much for watching me, because I hope that every person I share with you is leaving something that will make your life better. And I will see you soon with another fascinating guest, as well as I'll be bringing Heather back. So, bye.
Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.